You know, a lot of our student projects are at various stages, and most of them are very early. So within the context of your categories, kind of, what can a very new company do as far as low-hanging fruit, things that they can do with very little resources to best kind of take advantage of some of the opportunities that you guys spoke about today?
That's a great question. So, I mean, I think across all earned media in general, the early stages have the best opportunities. I mean, when you get to have large companies, their earned media departments are very difficult. They're very cumbersome. They can't write great things. So in an early stage, you've got to go out and find an opportunity to interact with the potential audience, your customer, however that may be. In search, you can go after longer tail items where you can engage with sort of a niche that you've carved out. But if there's nobody actually starting it, that's a really challenging element to be in, because you've got to go create that demand. And basically, you know, if you break down your sales cycle to that, right, awareness, does anybody know I exist, to acknowledgement of a problem, like do they put themselves in that same view, oh, they have a problem, then to that selection of, oh yeah, I have that, I know who you are, I have that problem, I'm going to pick you, and then finally that justification, like does this work for anybody else? To attack each one of those phases differently, and just create content, engage with customers, engage with people that can help you out, give stuff away, get people to, you know, might be helpful from your product and are visible, and just go to town on that.
So I guess I'll speak specifically to what you can do in terms of your landing page. And really the first thing I would say is look at what the competition is doing. Now you may actually have a company where there is no direct competitor, but there's probably a vertical which you have assigned yourself to exist within. And just look at what your competitors are doing. You know, how are they you know, designing landing pages? What do they have on the pages? How are they designing their advertisements? What do they look like? And just sort of look to them to get the basic, you know, overall very broad idea of maybe what you should be including. But what I would say is, you know, again, sort of use some of the best practices I discussed. You can even, you know, Google online best practices for landing page optimization. There's some great lists, you know, that exist, and just incorporate those elements. But, you know, really the key is, you know, I always say just look at what the competition is doing, do it better. You know, and apply some of the techniques the three of us have discussed today. But that's really the key. That's going to give you the lift.
Just jumping back in before you go on. 50% of all like searches, it's funny you said Google landing page optimization, right? 50% of all searches don't have a paid ad pop up at all. They're informational searches where people are asking like truly informational services or questions like, you know, what is the capital of something like that. But there are also things where people are using informational phrases rather than transactional phrases. And as marketers, we're really bad about like putting our language in informational phrases. So when people are thinking about how do I do something, that's the content that you want to write. Help people early stage. Help people who are getting right before you, because marketers, once they're entrenched, we write very specific things because our world looks like this, you know? So carve out and say, well, what are the terms that people are looking for, not in a transactional term, but way forward, and capture some of that 50% where nobody's playing at all.
I would say break the rules. If you're a small company, your key advantage is that you can basically do stuff that you would never do once you're an established company. So call up people. So it depends on what kind of entrepreneurial effort you have, but if you are building a product you want to sell to people, call people up that you would sell it to and say it already exists even before it does, and see if they'll pay $10, and see if they'll pay $20, and see if they'll pay $30. And you can do a lot of things very quickly just by making some phone calls way before you've even built a single, written a single line of code. Similarly, and we do that all the time, still do that honestly. It's a really great technique. If you're going to sell something, don't waste the time building it. Just see if you can sell it first. And you may find that the thing you were going to go build, the customer doesn't actually want, or they want something slightly different. Also, one thing that we did that's always very helpful, if you can always just steal someone else's landing page design when you're starting. We certainly did that in the first month of existing. We used, it's funny you said Netflix, you know, we were talking before the presentation. Our first test of could we do this, we stole the Netflix page and swapped a bunch of elements out and like replaced the Netflix logo with our logo and their text with our text, and just, you know, just a sniff test for a day to see, will people actually do this? And if you can do these quick sniffs on things, you can go a long way really, really fast before you go down, you know, routes you don't need to.